Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. We've got something really special planned for you. We've got Jody, who's been on the channel before, but today he's going to talk about just MDing, what it means to be a musical director and how we do it at our church. So yeah, check it out guys. Hey guys, yeah, we have Jody here. He's a multi-talented guy. One of the things he does is MD, musical direction. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Yeah, should we start off then? So what is a MD then?
Yeah, so the MD stands for musical director, and the role of a musical director in a worship team is to be the one who leads the band in all things that are musical. So the worship leader is responsible for picking songs and leading the congregation in corporate worship. But the musical director is the one who kind of supports the worship leader in leadership of the band, helping and directing us in where we need to go. So everyone's on the same page.
Cool. So how does that work then? So on a typical Sunday, how would you be leading the band? How would you be, communicating with the worship leader? How does that all work?
Well, number one, it works because we will have in-ear monitoring. So if your church doesn't have in-ear monitoring, then this might be something to look into for the future. But it works because I will have a microphone that will be able to speak to people with in-ears but not come out of the front of house, so the congregation doesn't hear a word of what I say, but the band will, and so that's really important. And so I'll be talking with the band about chord changes and what song's next, and whether we're going to another chorus or bridge or something like that.
So what kind of responsibilities do you take on then on a Sunday? Obviously you have the privilege of talking to the rest of the band through in-ears and stuff. Maybe you can talk us through like some of the stuff you might say. Yeah,
man. With great power comes great responsibility. But I think I would say like it comes to roughly 3 areas of responsibility as far as I'm concerned. Number one is encouragement. It's a real privilege to get to speak to the band whilst you're playing. In most settings you don't really get to do that, and so people don't get to be encouraged in that moment, but that's, I think, really important, especially when you're on a stage, and it can be daunting for some people. One of the best things that the MD can do is encourage the team, like to tell them when people are doing things well. So one of the things I do is like I'll try and say something funny before we start a service, just to kind of loosen the atmosphere and try and make people feel like more comfortable on stage. And then if I hear any like nice guitar licks or any nice guitar tones or tones from anyone or a nice drum fill, I'll say, yeah, that's nice, that's great, sounds really good, because that kind of encouragement really helps people to play more confidently. And like playing confidently is such an important thing. Like it's when you're playing timidly, that in any context is not great, but when you're playing confidently, it's convincing. And especially at church as well, when you're playing confidently, it gives the congregation almost the impetus and the permission to sing confidently and to worship with everything that they've got.
Oh, thanks for that. How would you kind of go about directing the band when a worship leader's not directing you, or the worship leader isn't saying, this is what we should do, but you feel like you should still give direction? How does that look like?
I guess, well, it's worth mentioning that we're a Pentecostal charismatic church, and we are prone to having moments of free space in our worship where people in the congregation sing out their own song. And so as an MD, I kind of have to have one ear in, one ear out to be listening to what the congregation is doing. And the worship leader will be doing that as well. Like the worship leader will be looking and listening to what the congregation is responding to, and trying to encourage their flow and encourage like their song, so that it's more than just us singing songs that other people have written, but songs coming out from our own hearts. So that's what the worship leader is doing, and the MD is doing a similar sort of thing. So if there's a time where we finish a song and the congregation are still singing the chorus because they're really connecting with that, then I can say, okay, we're going to repeat that chorus. And if we feel like there's some energy in the room, then we can build that chorus, and then I can say like, okay, we're going to build it in this next time round, and then we're going to land it on the chorus after that, or head into the bridge or something like that. So all these calls that MD makes.
Let's talk more about like you and the worship leader. How does that dynamic work? Because sometimes the worship leader wants something to happen, and then maybe you feel differently. Like in the moment, it's quite like in the moment. Sometimes you both have different directions you want to go to. So our worship leader Gaz, he might want to repeat a bridge or something, but you might want to go back into the chorus. So how do you kind of resolve situations like that?
I think sometimes following a worship leader can be a little bit difficult or ambiguous. There might be different signs that people take differently, or people assume that we're going to a place that we're not going to. And so obviously one of the reasons of having an MD in the first place is to get rid of that ambiguity, and to make sure that everyone knows where we're going and what we're doing. Everyone's on the same page. So that's why the MD is there. And I think, so in the moment, the worship leader is in charge always. And so the MD's role and responsibility is to make sure that every call that I make is what the worship leader wanted. So I'm looking out for every signal. I'm looking out for every vocal cue that he might give, like, we're going to sing that again, or he might sing the first line of the chorus to let us know that we're going into the chorus, that kind of thing. But if I make a call that isn't necessarily what the worship leader wanted, either I can correct that quickly, which often I try to do, or we'll just have to go with the call that I made, because we're all on that page, we're all on the page that I called. So I try my best to make every call the same as what the worship leader wanted.
Let's talk about like preparation. Before a Sunday. You have the list of songs that we're going to play that day. How do you as an MD prepare for just what you're going to say, the transitions between songs? What do you do in that preparation time before Sunday?
Number one, know the songs and learn the chords for the songs, because the book lies with the MD, because in the service, people might need a reminder of what the chords are. MD's there to be able to do that, to tell you what the chords are, or a reminder of what the structure is. The MD needs to know what the structure is, like whether it's a bridge or whether it's actually a double chorus. So the MD needs to know that, and MD needs to explain that in the service. So that's number one, to know the songs, know the structures, know the chords. Also to look at the set list and think about transitions. So the worship leader might have a few ideas about how we're going to transition between songs, and so making sure that I'm fully aware of how we're going to do that, because I'll be the one who's talking us through that when we're actually doing it. So that's important. And I think as well, when a worship leader writes a song, a worship set, there's kind of like a point where we're heading towards, where we're kind of, the congregation, we're climbing the mountain, and there's a place where we, at least in our church, there's a place where we get to where we're kind of, there's space and there's freedom, and we've kind of entered the gates with thanksgiving, so to speak, and we're entering into the courts, and we get to worship there. And so recognizing where those areas of space are, I think that's one of the key things as well. I mean, it's been a really, really interesting journey, really cool journey. I'm lucky enough I've been here like for most of that time, in the past 4.5, 5 years. And I think where we were 5 years ago was kind of playing in typically smaller bands on a smaller stage in our church building, which in itself is actually probably a reason why we didn't necessarily need an MD, because when you're in a smaller setting, you can kind of communicate non-verbally but still quite effectively.
Yeah.
Whereas us meeting at the theatre, when we're all very, very far apart, the MD is like a crucial role then, because it kind of unites us. But we journeyed with using, for chords, using iPads to help us to, with the chords charts, and being able to pull up different songs if we were going to do that in the moment. So that kind of gave us a first step into learning how to be flexible in a worship setting. And then moving on to IEMs, or in-ear monitoring, was a big step for us. Before that, we were using wedges, and if you're using wedges or on-stage monitoring, then you won't be able to have a MD speaking through a microphone. So that was a big step, and that step isn't for everyone, but it's super helpful, especially if you're wanting to move on to using tracks with the clicks and the cues. Then I think that's a really necessary step, and then along with that step, you get to have the opportunity of using an MD, and so it's been a journey, mainly a journey of discovery along the routes of technology and what technology is out there, and figuring out how to implement that best in our setting.
Thanks a lot, Joe, for your time.
Yeah.
So just to end off with, yesterday in our service we recorded one song, and we recorded an in-ear mix. We're just going to show you the song. It's Great Things by Phil Wickham, and you can hear Joe's beautiful voice just directing the team, saying words of encouragement, direction, and correction when needed. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Cool. Great things coming up.
Well, good morning and welcome, church. Why don't you stand with me? It's great to see you today for our second
All in
service.
with intro, real big. Let's bring some energy. 2, 3, 4.
We've had a great time this morning, baptizing people, celebrating together. It's good to be here, isn't it, church?
Repeat intro.
Sing together, sing, come let us worship our King.
Bring it down for verse.
Come let us worship our King. Come let us bow at his feet. He has done great things.
Verse.
See what our Savior has done. See how his love
That's good, good. That's nice.
overcomes. He has done great things. He has done great things.
It's a chorus. Yeah, nice.
You conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain. Oh God, you have
Chorus
done
again.
great
Bring it up a little bit.
things. We dance your freedom, awaken
Nice.
to life. Oh Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high. Oh God,
Build, build, build. Intro coming out. 3, 4.
sing with me. You've been faithful.
Bring it
You've
down.
been faithful through every storm. You'll be faithful forevermore.
It's nice too.
You have done great things, and I know you will do it again. For your promise is yes and amen. You will do great things.
Good tag.
God, you do great
Beautiful chorus.
things.
the one. Keep it up. Bring it down for the bridge. Bring it up, bridge. Build. We're dropping out for chorus. And building on the floor. Tag to 5, 6, 4. Remember, we're dropping the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's nice. Big ending. 1, 2. Yeah, that's nice. Keep it up. Swell.